What's going on, Browns fans? Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here, breaking down the latest on your Cleveland Browns. We're in the dog days of the offseason. No kidding. But we still got plenty to talk about. So here's what we got on tap for today's show. Could the Browns be trading for Courtland Sutton after a new report came out from Denver that the wide receiver might be available for a trade? Plus, is Baker Mayfield returning to the AFC North? We'll talk about that report from The Athletic and the latest coaching moves, news, and buzz going on in that department. But let's start the show off with this from the Broncos wide receiver Courtland Sutton, as trade rumors are starting to emerge that Denver is open to trading away at one time, which was their number one wide receiver. Now, a couple things I want to air out here. His base salary for 2023 is $14 million. That's what the Browns would have to pay him. So right now, Cleveland, in my opinion, is going to be in the neighborhood of $30 to $35 million in projected cap space. So Courtland Sutton would eat up about half or a little less than half of it if they were to trade for him. Also, it looks like Jerry Jeudy is off the table, which I've long said I don't see a way that the Browns land Jerry Jeudy, because he requires a first-round pick most likely. Something Cleveland doesn't have this year or next year. So even trading Greg Newsome, I don't think that really helps Denver, so I don't see why they would do that trade. But let's zero in on Courtland Sutton. The last 4 seasons for the former SMU Mustang have been up and down. 2019 was a breakout season for him. He went over 1,000 yards and had 6 touchdowns in what was a bad offense for the Broncos. Then he gets, unfortunately, injured in 2020, an ACL tear in Week 2 at Pittsburgh. In 2021 and 2022, he starts to slow down a little bit. 2021, first year off the ACL injury, that is pretty common for players. But this past season, just 2 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns over the last 2 years. Denver is not necessarily thrilled with his production. Plus, they gave him a 4-year, $60 million extension in the middle of the 2021 season, and they haven't really gotten their money's worth. And with trading for Sean Payton, they are short draft picks, plus trading for Russell Wilson, so they could be open to shopping a player like Courtland Sutton to try and get a pick back, because they've only got, I think, 6 in 2023. So here's what my trade, I shouldn't say idea necessarily, but if I had to estimate what Courtland Sutton could go for, maybe it's a 3rd-round pick. I'm not saying this is what I would like to do here. In fact, I'm not crazy about trading for Sutton in general, right? One, Courtland Sutton struggles with separation. It sounds like they're just potentially, it sounds like that would just be getting another Donovan Peoples-Jones, Amari Cooper type of receiver, right? In certain skill set that they have. That's not what Cleveland needs. They need, for one more time, everyone in the back, speed. They need a speedy slot receiver who can get separation, something they currently don't have on their roster. So adding a Courtland Sutton to me is just like adding maybe a more expensive Donovan Peoples-Jones or a worse Amari Cooper, kind of in the middle right there. Something I'm not really interested in doing, to be honest. But I'll let you guys be Andrew Berry. I know we all love talking about trades. Who doesn't love talking about trades? It's an American thing to do. But would you trade for Sutton? I think he'd probably go for a 3rd-round pick. Chase Claypool went for a 2nd. The Bears look pretty dumb for doing that right now. He was also still on his rookie contract. Sutton's under contract for 3 more seasons, so I don't think any team trading for him is going to give up a whole lot, but also Denver wouldn't do it for just a bag of footballs. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. And hey, while you're getting your votes down there, if any sort of Browns trade happens, we will not only just be going live here on the channel, but we're going to get you guys the latest updates and analysis from that trade, which is why you got to be subscribed, so don't miss a thing when you hit that big red button. Now, next up on the show, Baker Mayfield. Is he returning to the AFC North? Dun, dun, dun! It was fun last year when the Browns not only won in Week 1 for the first time in forever, but also got to do it against Baker because there's definitely a lot on the line. Well, they could have another crack at Baker in 2023. Here's what I'm talking about. The Athletic included Baker Mayfield as a quarterback target for the Ravens, with or without Lamar Jackson, right? Obviously, the situation in Baltimore could go one of two ways. If they trade him, everything's on the table. If they hold on to Lamar, well, some still think that Baker could wind up in the Charm City. Now, Baker's going to be an unrestricted free agent this year, so he can sign wherever, whenever, when the new league year starts in March 15th. Now, Baker, well, we know Baker. I think if he had an option between two teams, say like the Texans or the Ravens, right? I think if all else was equal, if all things are equal, he might lean more towards an AFC North team just for an opportunity to play against the Browns, because that's who Baker is. He's all about the revenge, right? He wears his heart on his sleeve. He's a very emotional-driven player, and if he has an opportunity to play against the Browns, I think he'd jump on it. Now, here's exactly what The Athletic wrote. I wanted to share it with you guys. It's from the Ravens beat reporter, Jeff Zerbick. So, here's the quote. I wouldn't be too quick to dismiss a potential Ravens-Mayfield pairing. I'd fully expect Mayfield to sign somewhere that gives him the best opportunity to be the Week 1 starter. Maybe that's staying with the Rams if there are questions about Matthew Stafford's health. But if there's no starting opportunity available to him, the Ravens would represent a soft landing spot. It's well documented that the Ravens liked Mayfield coming out of the draft. He has a good relationship with Jackson, and he's close friends with tight end Mark Andrews. Ravens decision makers have always liked and respected Mayfield. When the Ravens faced Mayfield and the Carolina Panthers in 2022, Biscotti jogged to the Panthers' side of the field to hug Mayfield in pregame warmups. I'm not sure I've seen that before with a player that hadn't already played for the Ravens and had a previous relationship with the owner. When it comes to Baker Mayfield, though, I know it was a fun moment to watch him go like 98 yards or whatever against the Raiders on Thursday night and win the game for LA in his first start. But then the rest of the NFL got to experience the Baker Mayfield experience, which is the ups and the downs, right? Because as great as that comeback win was against the Raiders, he ended up only going, I think, 1-4, 1-3 with LA. I mean, it wasn't a very good roster, very injury-riddled, but they got to see there's ups, but the lows, they can be low. Now, Baker in 2022, it's sort of a tale of two different cities, right? What he did with Carolina versus what he did with Los Angeles. Now, he played 2 more games with the Panthers, so he's got some more stats there. But objectively speaking, he was much better with the Rams. So those teams in the NFL looking for a quarterback might just focus in on what he did at LA and try and block out his time with the Panthers and just chalk it up to it being a disaster with Matt Rule, although I would disagree. Decent offensive line, Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore. It's not like he had nothing to work with. But could you guys just imagine for one moment here? Baker signs with Baltimore, okay? He's expecting to be the backup quarterback, but he knows Lamar has missed time the last 2 seasons, so he likes his chances of at least playing some football. But then Lamar gets tagged, and he decides to sit out, right? Decides, I don't want to play this year under a franchise tag. And the whole offseason, they're trying to get a deal done, and they can't get it done. So week 1 rolls around now. And the NFL schedule makers are geniuses, and they decide to have Cleveland and Baltimore face in week 1, and all of a sudden, Baker Mayfield is the starting quarterback for the Ravens, and he's playing the Browns for a second straight opening week. Get your popcorn ready. That's that kind of shit I love. So, what I want to know from you guys, though, is sort of what Jeff talked about in his write-up. Do you guys think Baker will be a starter in 2022? Or 2023, excuse me? As for starter or B for backup, let me know what you think in the comments section. I lean towards backup. I bet he probably goes back to the Rams to back up Matthew Stafford. It's clear the Rams need a decent backup, so I think that's the most likely route. But let me know. Sound off in the comments section below. Now, before we get to all the coaching news and rumors and carousel going on, our sponsor today, Fanatics, has an awesome deal for the Dog Pound, and it's on sale. It's this dope Browns hoodie. When you go to chatsports.com/ Browns hood. I've got that link for you guys in the comments and the description of today's show, so make sure you check it out. It's still cold. It's still chilly up there in Northeast Ohio or wherever you're watching today's show, so make sure you get this really cool Browns hoodie, thanks to Fanatics, on sale. Now let's get to some news here. We got some real news to hit on, okay? We got some coaching moves here. A flurry of Browns coaches have moved this offseason to different teams. So let's recap all the changes that have been made. Former DC Joe Woods is now in New Orleans as their defensive coordinator, but he's basically the Alex Van Pelt because he's not going to call the plays in New Orleans. Defensive line coach Chris Kiffin, he left today to go to Houston to be the Texans linebackers coach. So a bit of a lateral move right there, but with Jim Schwartz coming in, coaches sometimes know when their time is up. Quarterback coach Drew Petzing, he is off to Arizona to be the Cardinals offensive coordinator from St. Ignatius High School legend Jonathan Gannon. So we've got that move, plus defensive backs coach Jeff Howard. He took the job for the Chargers to be their linebackers coach. So of the 4 moves, 3 around the defense, which honestly is no problem with me. The coaching staff needed changes. We were begging for that all season last year. So anything being shaken up on the defensive side is probably necessary, and I'm excited to see what Jim Schwartz does and who he brings in to replace these guys with his own staff. All right, before we sign off, you guys know the drill. A random Cleveland Browns player that you guys commented, or someone at least commented on yesterday's video, Rick Atkins. He commented cornerback Felix Wright. He played with the Browns at the late 80s with the Cardiac Kids, and he was the NFL interception leader one season, an absolute ball hawk, very strong player for the Browns. Is he a legend? Maybe not quite a legend, but he is a random Browns player. So, Rick, shout out to you for commenting that name on yesterday's video. Comment a random Browns player down below, and I'll pick one to go on tomorrow's show. That's going to do it for us here today. I appreciate everyone who took time out of their day and joined us here at the channel. I'll see everyone tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday, live show. You know the drill. See you guys in the afternoon for a live Cleveland Browns report.